We are live for another Trail Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Shimons, coming to you from Sydney, Australia. And we've got a special one. We've got Andy Glaze in today, so we'll get him invited in. Here he is.
Oh, there I am.
How's it going,
What's
mate?
up? Good. How are you?
I'm great. How's the legs feeling after Javelina?
Um, they're a little stiff still, a little sore. I'm shuffling around. So
I can imagine. This is Trail Talk Live. We're here every week. This week, repeat guest, friend, Andy Glaze is here with the legs that need fed every day.
yeah, unfortunately they do. Yes.
We put out a question box for viewer questions, audience questions, and I think we had a new record on this one, Andy. Uh, I mean, we've done it before. We did a Q and
Right,
a
right.
with you in early August, and I think like we blew through, I think it was like 140 questions come in, so
And I
unbelievable
got
response.
I got a bunch too. I didn't even send you them all. I it was just too many. But it is what it is. We'll get through what we can get through.
Yeah, we'll prioritize the Moab 240 stuff and we
Yeah.
will come to whatever else there is. If you can't stick around on Instagram, you can catch up on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you do your podcasts. It'll be available within 24 hours, so you can subscribe there and also maybe check out the previous one that we did with you where we talked a bit about the book and all of those types of things and the merch that I see you're rocking the hat. How's the
Right,
merch
right.
going?
Well, it's going well in a sense. It went really, really well. Um, I'm changing distributors or just changing I was just using Printify, which is just very easy, and I found a new guy that um, is a lot better. So it should be better merch, and I can like get new things really easily. And Printify takes like 70% or something ridiculous. So um, I'll be able to do like limited run things and should be good. But right now it's down, so there's it should be up I think this week. But yeah.
Are we getting some global shipping?
Well, I'll have to that'll have to work on too. It's so hard. I think I don't know if it's all these tariffs or what's going on, but um, I've never been in this business space before, and it's very weird because I'm so international that every time I do everything, they're like, "Well, are you going to ship it to Malaysia? Are you going to ship it to India?" And I'm like, "Oh man, this is like this is way above my pay grade." But I guess I have to figure this all out. Yeah, so eventually I will figure it out, but I not right this second.
Mate, the audience, the fans, the followers, it's way bigger than America. Like a ton of the questions come in, or just even comments, not even on the question box, was will you ship to the Philippines? Will you ship to Indonesia? Ship to
Right, I know.
Australia? It was like just shipping questions. Like there was probably
Yeah.
about like eight or nine shipping questions. I'm like, yeah, I want the
Well,
stuff too. I can't get it.
well, same with the book. It's like I got to figure out. I mean, there'll obviously be an Audible and an ebook, so people internationally should be able to get those. But like the physical copy, like I don't know how I'm going to get that to people, but I will, obviously work on it. If there's a great enough demand, then it'll work out. But yeah, I've
That
had
feels
a
like
couple.
that feels like something you need to get done for Christmas. Like
Right. Well,
this is a
see,
stocking
it,
filler.
unfortunately, so I haven't talked about it at all, but like I had a little bit of a business snafu with the person that was representing me, and I don't want to. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't know what I can say or what I can't. But I can say that things didn't end well, and like I have new representation, and I'm working through a bunch of weird legality things that really suck. So um, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But sometimes running and content creation is like a lot more fun than business, and probably why I've stayed out of this business game for so long.
Yeah, we'll park that there, but I agree with what you're saying. Yeah. the running is the fun bit,
Yeah,
the bit that we
yeah,
love, the bit that we all share. Yeah,
right.
so understand. Before we get into the questions, shout out to sponsors, XMiles, Tantrums, which you're very familiar with now,
Oh,
and GOREWEAR.
look, sponsors.
Yeah. Trail Talk
My
15 for the
yeah.
Tantrums discount. It's an exclusive Trail Talk discount. So check out the Tantrums vest. American brand, actually very local to you as well.
Yeah, yep.
How did the vest go at Javelina?
So I actually just did a video about this. I haven't posted it yet, but I loved it. It just doesn't have a phone pocket. And since I'm a content creator and I need my phone like as I'm racing and doing all this stuff, I need to be able to like have my phone because that's how I film all my content. I don't use a GoPro or whatever. If I had, if I did a GoPro or something like that, it would have been fine. But the comfort and the fact that there's like literally no bounce in the bottles is so nice. Like it really does feel just like, like second skin, like there's no movement, which, I love Solomon. I've run Solomon for years, but there's definitely still movement in Solomon. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I like supporting small brands and I'm looking forward to his 11-liter pack. So we'll see what that, he says that there's going to be a phone for that, a phone pocket for that one. So, but yeah, I ran 22 miles in it and had no issues other than I didn't have anywhere to put my phone. Well, I mean, I guess I could have put it in the back, but I need like accessible phone,
Yeah, yeah, I
pocket.
get you. I love that lumber pocket actually for just an extra bottle. I think it's great for a third
Yeah,
bottle.
that's where I normally put like all my extra gels because I eat quite a bit. So I normally use that for like my, especially in like longer races, like where the aid stations are far apart. I like to have that back pocket filled with food.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on and get some of these questions. Otherwise, we're never going to get through them. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
we've
I
been
know.
chewing
I
the
know.
fat here for 8 minutes, and this is valuable question and answering time.
We could talk forever, you and I.
So, we're going to start off with the Moab 240 questions. Mate, I haven't even read these. There was too many to read.
Yeah.
I just screenshot the questions, stick them into ChatGPT, and said list them as questions, so I can just
Smart.
read them out. Just simple. It's my assistant.
Yeah.
So first question: weather at Moab or UTMB, which was worse?
Well, I mean, the nice, I mean, UTMB, the weather was bad for one night. So, I mean, it was cold and obviously it snowed and it didn't snow at Moab. But really, there's probably 5 total miles of just absolutely misery at UTMB where it was so cold and so muddy and so miserable. But it was like 5 miles, kind of just the tops of those first peaks. And then the descents were just real muddy. Moab was terrible for almost the full 98 hours. There's like a couple sections where it stopped raining, but then you still had the mud to deal with. So I'd go with Moab worse weather.
All right. I had Ben Kubra in yesterday, second place at Moab. So we recorded a podcast yesterday. It'll be out in a few days or maybe early next week. But yeah, he was saying about the weather. It pretty much rained the whole time or most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was day 3. We didn't get any rain during the day, which was kind of nice. But then, I mean, it started raining again that night. So like we had one day where it was like sunny during the day, and then I think I finished on day 4, and then there's a whole nother day 5, and I think it rained all day 5 as well. So it was bad.
That's the first for Moab. We've had hot weather. There's been the cold year when it was like snowing on Shea Mountain. This is the first mostly wet year. So
Yeah, and I think that it was like a 150-year storm. Like it hasn't had rain like that in like 150 years. So it's pretty insane.
this is the shit that we hear about weather every year. Hottest summer, coldest, wettest. Every year there's records in the weather.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
Next question. Why is Moab specifically so tough compared to other long races that you've done? And I'm guessing the context in this is that it was 3 goes to get it finished.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's tougher than, I mean, I think a lot of races are tougher than Moab. Moab is a very runnable race and it's actually really enjoyable. I just had sort of a string of bad luck, like the first one was just a freak, fall, which, we all fall and have issues like that. There was no difficulty in that. And then the second time was like a heat emergency, which I run in hot races all the time. I live in a hot area. It shouldn't affect me, but it did. Um, Sometimes the body, I mean, it was like probably the 12th race in my year or something. Maybe my body was a little overtaxed. I don't know, but I don't think it's not that. I mean, it's a hard race. Don't get me wrong. It's 240 miles. It's a hard race. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying there's harder races. It's just, I just had some bad luck and then really just need, once you get in your head, you start being like, oh no, like, why can't I finish this race? Cocodona is way harder than this. Why am I struggling with this one, which is like mostly runnable? And then, of course, I finish it the year when it's not runnable and it's all mud and terrible. And like, everyone had to suffer through it. Maybe I'm just better at races where you really have to get into the suck.
Yeah, it brings me to one of my own questions, really, which was about the crewing, because that was the big difference this year. You
Yeah.
normally go uncrewed, or as Laz would call it, screwed. And
Yeah.
this time you had crew, you had a couple of guys that helped you out. How much did that change the experience?
I mean, a ton. For one, I was on like a regular sleep schedule. So I took no trail naps the entire race. I think what happens when I go by myself is one, I tend to get a little lazy when I'm by myself sometimes, like maybe I don't push myself quite as hard. And then two, when it's in the middle of the night and you're by yourself, the sleepies kick in and it's real easy just to lay down and take a nap. But if you're with somebody else and you're talking to them, like if I'm talking to someone, I don't get tired. And so they got me through those like tough nights where I should have been tired, but because I was talking to them, having conversation, stuff like that, I was able to like keep my brain engaged. And then when we get back to the van, I'd get onto a nice, comfortable mattress and sleep for a couple hours. And that was just a game changer because I'm already used to taking short, naps being a firefighter. And so I would wake up from like a 2 hour nap and I would feel like 100%, like completely rested. Obviously, you're still sore and stiff and you got all that going on, but mentally, I would feel wide awake. And I mean, that was like really, really nice. I only slept 3 times during the whole race, but they were all like the perfect interval. And I mean, my wife's like, "You're gonna get crewed from now on." I'm like, "I don't know." Yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was that was a really great experience, and those guys are they're good friends, and I really really appreciate them getting me across that finish line.
Yeah,
One of the guys, Cody, ran 120 miles with me, which is crazy.
that's nuts. Um, it's such a different experience being crewed over screwed or uncrewed, just in the sense that like I find you've also got to think about the people. There's maybe some worry about them. Are they okay? What about the
Yeah,
roads that they're traveling to get to you? Not the things like sleep or run, but just the logistical things that they have to go through. But I guess maybe that's something else to think about or another distraction, maybe.
yeah, these guys have crewed Moab like multiple times, and they're like pretty. And Cody ran it last year, so they were all pretty dialed in on exactly what to do. And I mean, I honestly didn't have to put any brain power into that. I just knew they were like the ones that people were going to them and asking questions about crewing. And Cody, he crews Harvey Lewis a bunch. He's like almost like a professional. Not, I mean, he's got a real job and stuff, but he's like a professional pacer. Like if you want somebody that's going to like get you like across the finish line, Cody's your man. And Harvey uses him all the time. He just used him at Bigfoot, and he's really really strong when it comes to that. So
Oh,
I
cool.
was in
All
good
right.
hands. Yeah.
What about hallucinations? A few questions come in about that. So, like, what was the worst or the best, whatever way you want to frame it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely hallucinated. I thought like, oh, I'm getting good sleep, and maybe I won't hallucinate. But no, I think when you're going through the La Salles, all the aspen trees were like dropping their leaves, and so it was just littered with these yellow, bright golden yellow leaves, and then they turn black. So like what happens is you get like these leaves that have these black patterns on them, but they're like bright gold. And so as you start to look at them, it starts to look like one of those like ink drop, like what do you see, you know? But then when you're hallucinating, then every leaf looks like something, you know, and you start like kind of losing your mind because you're like, oh my God, look at all this stuff going on. And yeah, and that's for a long time. So I was seeing some pretty interesting stuff on those aspen leaves for many, many hours. That's probably the worst. I mean, I videotape a section where all the asphalt looked like troll dolls and stuff like that. That's kind of normal where I start seeing like pretty intense patterns of cartoony characters in asphalt or like, you know, rock trails or stuff. But the aspen leaves were, because it was just so bright colored, it was pretty amazing. So I was definitely like into it and enjoying it, entertaining myself.
Yeah, normally it's the tree stump becomes a bear or
Yeah,
this
I mean,
this type of thing.
I
So this was a new one.
yeah, you know, and I mean, I still had the tree stump as a bear and stuff like that, but yeah, the aspen leaves were pretty amazing.
Quite a few questions come in about like your ultra running journey and how you started running and these things. I'd probably say maybe we don't have time to just dig too much into that, but we did tackle a lot of those questions in the previous show, so people can catch up on that on Spotify or wherever you get a podcast. But do you want to briefly just say like how you got into running, and we'll move on from that subject?
I mean, I got into running like 20 something years ago. Just I was super unhealthy and was battling with depression and anxiety, having these really bad anxiety attacks, and um, started exercising, not running, but exercising to get over that. And then that led to taking a class on exercise science, which I had to run a mile and a half for, and then pretty much never stopped since then. I have never stopped since then. So, yeah. And then now running is everything, but you know, I've mixed every type of exercise in the last 24 years into my life. So from biking to triathlons to obstacle course racing, weightlifting, lots and lots of things. So,
Back on to quite a unique Moab question, which I shared with you earlier on. How long did you carry your bag of poo?
yeah, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I'm trying to think. That was at mile. It's probably just like a couple miles. Yeah, just a couple miles. Most of the time, I'd go to the bathroom at the aid station, so I wouldn't have to do that. Yeah.
Um, Back to the journey story. Like whenever you get into ultra running, how quickly did you progress from the 50K to the 100 mile?
It was pretty slow. I mean, I ran, I think, several 50Ks, then I ran a couple 50 milers, then I ran 100K, then I probably dropped back down, ran some more 50Ks, and then I think it was maybe 2 years before I ran a 100 miler. I crewed a couple 100 milers, I paced a couple so I could, you know, see what was going on and kind of see the pain cave and like how it all kind of progressed. And then also just like the aspect of like night running and like, you know, pacing someone during the night when they're really struggling. I did that a couple times so I could really get a good sense of it. And then finally I did a 100 miler. I wasn't in a rush to get there. I didn't want to get hurt and I wanted to do it the right way. So I took my time. And I always tell people, take your time. There's no rush to get to 100 miles. You know, 50K, 50 mile, 100K, they all are great distances. And there's a ton of amazing races out there that never reach that 100-mile distance. So if you just go straight to 100 mile, you skip all these other fun races like Gorge 100K or, you know, the Rut or something like, which I haven't done, but I want to do. But, you know, things like that you miss out on because they don't have a 100-mile distance.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to do the rut as well. And you're so right. Like there's so many classic races, even just thinking about it in America, and they're 50 milers or 70 milers, even like the Laurel Highlands is a Western States qualifier. It's a 70 miler, like
Right.
an
Well, I
obscure
mean,
distance.
you and I met at a 50 miler in San Francisco. So, you know, and I love that. I miss that race, you know, North Face 50. I wish they'd bring it back. Come on, North Face, let's do it.
Yeah. Um, 50 milers are so much fun. Like half the recovery for me over a hundred
Yeah.
miler. I'm not sure what it's like for you. What what even is recovery for Andy Glaze? Because you're like running 12 hours after you finished Moab, and you're feeding the legs pretty much every day. I'm sure. So like, what is recovery for you?
After Moab, I actually did take like a day off. And that was more or less because I had to drive like 12 hours home, and then just sitting that long, I got really swollen feet. So, but after Javelina, I did run after 12 hours. I think, recovery is just a process, right? It's like I'm not like yesterday when I ran, it was terrible. I did 2 miles. I was doing like a 14-minute mile, I think I started at a 15-minute mile. I was just barely moving my legs, but it was just like moving the legs. But recovery is sauna, it's cold plunge, I take a bunch of supplements, which I take anyways, and it's getting massages and red light therapy and just a thousand little things that I do. Um, Compression socks to just get me back to feeling normal. I enjoy being really, really sore and broke off. So that's, like I'm not like afraid of that. I mean, when I'm like right now shuffling around, I love this feeling because it's that feeling of like I did something really hard yesterday, and that's my favorite feeling in the world. Everyone's like, oh, I get depressed after a race. Man, not me, because after a race, this is my favorite feeling. So it's like I've achieved what I wanted to feel, which is like really, really sore and broken. I love like barely being able to get on the toilet and all those things. Like to me, that's the best part. So, and I will get sad in a week when this all goes away and I'm back to normal.
But you might be the most experienced person at having that feeling.
There's a lot, there's like 32 people that have run over 100 hundreds. So those people out there, I think they know it pretty well too. But I'm on my way. I'm trying. I'm still small school, but I'm trying to get on that list. I'm trying to get some street cred.
What are you at? What's your count?
That's another thing is I don't pay attention. I don't know. I should sit down someday and look on ultras. The problem is not everything's on ultra sign up, and then I just lose motivation. And then it's like I don't like rules, so it's like I don't want to even read what the rules are. Like, does a 200-mile count? Is a 100-mile like? And then like, how many times have I run a 100-mile just solo? Like where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go run 100 miles, and I use gas stations as my aid stations. They probably don't count that. Well, I would count it. I mean, it was 100 miles. So in my mind, I just want to get to 100 hundreds, whatever that means, even if I don't make the official list.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 100-mile races only, and that will be the
Yeah.
the bar
Right.
for it. Maybe sanctioned, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, what does it really matter? It's like sometimes whenever you feel like you forget you go to run and your watch battery is dead, and like my body is still experiencing the run, whether this watch
Right.
is with
Right.
me or not. So like, don't maybe care too much about whether it's being recorded. Um,
Yeah. I just, same with like the whole run streak. I don't have a run streak because I do take days off at times, I have a 100-mile a week run streak, which is different. And I just made my own rules up. There's no like website or anything. Like I just do what I just said, okay, this is my rules and I'm just going to follow my rules. And like, I don't really care what other people think or if it follows some list or anything.
it's the best way. All right, one
Yeah.
more question. This actually came in from Ben Kubra. Do you think the last 15 miles of Moab were runnable?
The last 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were runnable. My feet hurt really, really bad. And when he ran it, it might have been muddier than when I ran it. For me, it's just, I mean, it was just like, it's just those rocks. It's slick rock running. I've run a bunch of different slick rock races. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty runnable. I thought it was so beautiful. We were lucky because it only rained half of the time up on the Porcupine Rim. And so the other half, it cleared up and it got really beautiful. But man, that's the place to run or mountain bike. it's real nice.
I
So,
think I think he was saying maybe that there was pointed rocks along that whenever I spoke to him yesterday. So maybe that's
well,
what he was referencing.
yeah, I mean it's a lot of rocks. It's like it's not really trail. It's like these big flat sort of sections of rocks that you're running down. Because it's like slick rock. It's slick rock kind of all the way down, and it's I think more designed for like a mountain bike than a human running. But I mean, we're all pretty broken at that point, and we're all just thinking, oh, it's only 15 miles, but 15 miles is pretty far. It's pretty far.
Yeah,
So
at a 20-minute mile.
yeah, it's a struggle. Like and yeah, when the sun came out, it started to get warm, and yeah, my feet hurt so bad at that point. They were just, it was like 10, it was, my feet hurt so bad that I was getting little mini adrenaline rushes from the pain, and my arm hair was standing up from the pain in my feet. And I was like, I did not know it was like, how am I going to do this for when I had 8 miles left, I was having that talk. Like, I got to do this for another 8 miles. This is insane.
I think that's probably an achievement you could even feel your feet.
I wish they were numb. Believe me. I wish I don't know what was going on with them, but yeah, they were in pain.
Are you gonna go back to Moab I mean, one of the questions was, are you gonna go back for a PB? But or do you feel like maybe you've ticked the box for Moab? I'll try something different next year.
Um, I do really like Moab. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we have the local race in my area called Kodiak, which was my second 100, and they move their time slot to the same time Moab is. So because of the last 3 years, I've been trying to do Moab. I haven't got to go back and do Kodiak, and I think UTMB took it over, and it's a slightly different course and stuff. I kind of want to do that because it's like my local mountain race, but I like those long races, and Moab is, like I say, it's probably top three most beautiful courses I've run. It's just so different and so beautiful that I really love it. So I don't know, and I like destination trail races where you got 25, 22 mile sections in between aid stations. Um, that's real hard. It's a whole. I was just doing Javelina, and we had an aid station 4 miles, 6 miles, 5 miles, 3.8 miles, 3.8 miles between an aid station. It's like you almost don't even have to run with a bottle. I mean, it's like it's pretty insane when I was just doing 25, 24 mile in between aid stations. So um, yeah, I like that real hard difficultness of it.
Yeah, whenever you've got those like marathon distance sections in between aid stations, you're basically it's like going off for a day's work. Like that's how
Yeah,
long you could be going out there for 8 hours to cover that distance, and it's like a real sense of adventure in that. Whereas
especially with all the bad conditions.
but then whenever I look at Javelina and I see the videos you going through like the cheer stations, I was actually thinking, oh man, I would never want to do that race. There's so many people, and I would be I don't want to overuse the term anxious, but I would feel like nervous or something coming through to be like seen by all of these people. I don't know, it's maybe kind of weird, but I would rather just be out on my own and just see somebody every several hours.
I like a little bit of both. I mean, Javelina was insane this year. I mean, you don't realize how many people like know who you are until you go to a race like that. And like, yeah, when I came through the chute, it's like a half-mile chute of all these different, easy ups and tents, and it was just like Andy, Andy, Andy the whole way for like a half a mile, and then on the way back, you have to go back, and it definitely got me pumped up. It felt good, but I was like, wow, this is every year it's a little different, and this year was pretty intense.
Yeah, I suppose for sure you get to feed on that energy, which has got to be great. A few questions come in about David Goggins. Did I kind of laughed at this one, but gonna ask it anyway. Did running next to David Goggins give you extra motivation?
No, no. I mean, he was very quiet, and Yeah, he was just very just in the zone, you know. He didn't stop at like any aid station. So, you know, me, I stop at every aid station. I have a little watermelon, you know. I'm like, hey, this is free food that I don't have to carry. So, um, yeah, I think I only ran like 8 miles with him, and then he continued on. So he's fast though. He's very, very fast. He's got a good little pace going. So, but it was. I mean, I haven't run side by side with him ever, so that was, you know, it was cool. But I've met him before at other races, but not like that. So yeah, I mean, he's 50 years old. He's still getting it. That's pretty cool.
Still crushing it. And there's David Goggins, the persona and the motivation and stuff that he puts out there. But whenever he shows up to a race like Moab, it's all business and he's there for that experience, which I kind of love. Like, there's no bullshit with it.
I think it's hard for him though because he's so big that everybody wants a piece of him. You know, like everybody wants to come up and shoot a video, and I mean they do it with me too, but like I don't care. I like it. I think he doesn't like it. I think he wants to be in his David Goggins zone where he's like, you know, like focused on the running and the race and stuff like that. And he's having all these external factors where me, I'm like out and like everybody wants to take a picture. I'm like, yeah, let's stop and take a picture. Like, I don't care, you know, but, yeah, I felt kind of, he was getting pretty inundated, in the beginning there. I'm sure it mellowed out once, you know, once you get past that initial 20 miles, then you start getting pretty remote, but I'm sure the first 20 miles was pretty intense.
He should maybe run Bigfoot. He'll see nobody.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why he did it too, right? Maybe he ran Bigfoot because it's so remote. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, that was probably pretty awesome.
Um, you're always running with the aftershocks. You're wearing them
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
People want to know, what are you listening to?
So I mean, a lot of things. I do during races. I listen to mostly music. In longer races like 200 milers, like if occasionally when I'm by myself, sometimes I will listen to like a book or a podcast or something like that. I've started this is kind of silly, but like when I'm racing by myself in the middle of the night during the witching hours, like between like 4 and 6, I will listen to a podcast of myself talking, and my brain thinks I'm talking to somebody, and I won't get sleepy. So, but mostly music, and like I have a very diverse sense of music. Like I pretty much everything but pop. So, you know, sometimes I'll be listening to like death metal, and then other times I'll be listening to like the Shins or, you know, Zach Bryan or something, you know, or, you know, just anything. I basically just let Spotify mix it up for me so I don't really have to think about it. I don't have playlists or anything like that. I like how Spotify will do like you can be like, oh, I want to listen to like no like music like No Effects, and so you go to No Effects Radio, and it'll play like all bands that are like No Effects. You know, it'll throw like a little Rancid in there and a little, you know, and I don't really have to think about it because it's really just background noise to me. I don't listen to it real loud. I listen to it really quiet, just kind of just so I have something like playing. But
Also, those playlists are endless.
yeah, and they don't repeat and all those things like so it's pretty nice. But yeah, when I'm training, I make a lot of phone calls on my headset and like um just because I have a lot going on in my life besides running. So it's and I run so much, I have to be able to manage communications with people. So a lot of my runs are me talking to people I need to talk to. So
Another question came in comparing Moab to UTMB. Are there any similarities, any crossover in the difficulty? Talk about that.
no, it's totally like completely different races.
Simple.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the only section is like there's a quarter-mile section called Jacob's Ladder where you have to like climb down this like really steep rock section. Maybe that's the only crossover to UTMB where you have like a lot of rocks, but Moab is a desert race. It's, you know, like you said earlier, normally pretty hot. It's very remote. There's no cell phone. There's no cities. There's nothing. You're just literally out in the desert. And obviously UTMB, you're running through the Alps, through all these little villages and stuff. And there's homes everywhere. And there's no wild animals or anything like that. So it's pretty different.
Do you have any cell service during Moab?
Not a little bit here and there. My crew this year we had a Starlink. So every time I'd get to the van, I could upload all my content. But normally the Starlink is really saving my butt here in ultra running because there's so many ultras that are so remote and I won't get any service. But now I'll come into the aid stations and I'll be like, all right, who has a Starlink? And they'll give me their code and I'll like upload all my content and then I'll, while I'm eating and drinking and doing everything, I'm good at multitasking. So I'll get everything up. I'll get all my pack back together and then I'll get out of there as fast as I can. So, um, yeah,
That brings us to one of the other questions, which was about the content. And there was several questions about this, but like, how much do you think it slows you down? When are you creating the videos and the reels? Like, I personally just imagine like those are those walk breaks, and you're just like getting it done, save the draft, getting it done, save the draft, or whatever. And then it's because we do walk and we run in all of these things, so it's how do you
right.
manage it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much. I mean, I don't. I guess yeah. At times, like I just like I have to think of like if something I feel like works, then I just do it right then if I can. I can I make most of my content while I'm like actually running. Like it doesn't as long as it's not too technical or anything like that. I can just like run and make content. With it's pretty easy with all the programs you have. Like, and I have a system down. So, and obviously we've talked about this before, but all my stuff is very lo-fi. There's very little editing. It's just like real time what you guys are seeing with some captions, and that works for me. So it's not like I'm like creating some masterpiece that's like going up and is all beautiful or anything. It's like just the raw gritty what like me hallucinating or me shitting in a bag or whatever it is. Like that's just what's going on. My jort's getting caught on a tree, and I'm just sort of giving you guys like a glimpse into what's going on during the race. Um, but yeah, it's pretty lo-fi. It's yeah, like you said, it's pretty easy to do all that and pretty quick.
One thing, like that's one thing I'd say about your content. It's more about
Race,
the
no.
it's more about the idea than the production.
Sorry, my kids are home.
We
Um,
we never see your dog on Instagram anymore, by the way.
I, you want to see? Can you put her away because she keeps barking?
So like a lot of the time, your content, it's just a simple video. It could, if it was going up as a story or something and I had no caption, it would just look like, oh, it's just a bit video of Andy bending over and touching his foot. But
Yeah,
in a reel form, there's like some sort of caption, which actually does take some um, imagination.
right. Yeah, and I have a lot of time out there to think. So it's like if I shoot a video, then I can like think like, oh, well, what could I say on that, or. But a lot of times, like during the races, it's just the caption of like what I'm saying. Like it's not like an actual. Sometimes I'll put like, oh, mile 89, POV or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I just I used to like it used to be stories, and then stories are great. I think during Moab I was getting this is like insane to say out loud, but like 171,000 views per story. Um,
Wow, that's
um,
nuts.
but like if you put it into a reel, it gets even more. And then the reels live forever, whereas a story is only there for 24 hours. So I started like doing, I still do my stories, but like then also throwing it into reels as well, kind of like the highlight stories so that it can reach more people, reach people that don't follow me. Because obviously the stories are people that are following me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think stories are more for the people that follow you anyway, so they don't push them out to the new audience. But yeah, good point. And this is something that I was wondering too, because everyone that I know, me included, experience that post race blues. You know, you've trained for something, you've looked forward to something, it's then been achieved, and then afterward it's like, what next? Or there's some sort of lull. Do you experience that, or is there always just something always in the pipeline?
No, I don't. I mean, like I said, like now my world right now is like I got to recover, and it's like, so it's like I have a new goal. It's like my goal was to run Javelina, and now it's like now my goal is to recover, which is going to take a little while because I just did those 5 huge races pretty much back to back to back. Um, and then when that recovery is done, then I always have my 100-mile weeks and my little side quest adventures that I like to do. So I personally I don't get it because I mean the races are fun, and then also being, like I said earlier, like being sore is fun, being broke off is fun. Like um I just see it all as part of the same experience. Like the recovery is still part of the race, just like the taper is part of the race too. People don't like the taper. I don't like the taper either, but sometimes I do because sometimes it's nice to rest a little bit for me personally because I hit it hard so hard all the time. So it's just part of the experience, I guess. I don't know. I just haven't. But yeah, there's always so many races. Like if I started to get the blues because of the races, then like we'll go do another race, right? I mean,
Simple.
right, right now it's off season though. I got like 2 months off, so I'm gonna soak it in. I have other like I got to finish the book. I just got my last edit, stuff like that. I gotta like lock in on other projects now that racing season is over.
So one of the themes that I've seen recently, not themes, one of the things I've seen in your content is that you're going into like the off season. In the 8 years that I've known you, I haven't heard you talking about off season as a
Right.
thing. Why are you labeling it this? Are you taking an extended break from racing? What do you need to like let the audience know here?
No, it's just like, well, one, I've used all my PTO. I'm down. I literally have 2 hours left for the year. So I'm I'm in a bit of a situation where I don't have any more days. I think UTMB just has a new race in Santa Barbara. It's like just a 50K, and I'm like, oh, I totally want to do that race, and I totally would, but I would have to take 2 days off work, and I can't. I can't. I don't have those hours. So um, if I was retired, there probably would not be an off season, but since I am in slightly constricted by those type of things, like um, it's like 2 months, November, December. There's not a whole lot of races, and then January will start back up, and I'll start racing again. So I'm just being silly. Off season is like there's obviously never an off season for ultra running, but I always kind of see Javelina as like the end of like most major races. I know you have Rio de Lago next week, and there's a couple other like races in the winter time, but I think there's one in Florida and stuff like that. But for me personally, like Javelina is kind of the end.
Um, One of the questions that actually I saw it in the comments or the chat earlier on, and it's in the list. It's also something that I was wanting to ask you. I think you would absolutely be a fucking legend at a backyard ultra.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. It doesn't. I feel bad saying this because they're so popular right now, and they're so like the thing is like they just don't excite me. Like I just like I think you have to do what you love. And I do what I love, but I don't know if I love the idea of running 4 point whatever miles every hour for several days. Just I know that's exciting for some people, and like there's people that are really good at it, and I'm not hating on them at all. I find it entertaining to watch, but for me personally, like I like to be out in the middle of the woods and the wilderness and like sort of going on my own little like you know Frodo side quest looking for the ring type thing, and like occasionally I'll do a race like Jackpot where I run around the lake for 100 miles, but um I don't know. I mean, maybe I would. I think honestly, if we want to get, I think I would have been better at it when I was younger and I was like quicker. But now that I've gotten like, I'm a little bit more older and I've kind of, gotten slower. I don't know if I'd be all that good at it. I mean, maybe I would. I don't know.
I look,
It
I
doesn't, yeah, no, it just doesn't speak to me right now. But, you know, life is all about change and it's very possible that I will try it at some point.
I totally agree with you, but as I would say to like whenever we have these conversations in the Trail Talk WhatsApp community, we can't all like the same things. Like
Right.
it's great that people like backyard ultras. It's not what motivates me to go running. I mostly like the mountains, love the trails, kind of like doing it on my own as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's the opposite of what other people might like. So like horses for courses, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Everybody should just do what, I mean, there's some people that like to run around track, and like, I don't want to do that either, but like, I'm happy for those people. Like, find your thing and do your thing. It was like, Javelina was interesting for me this year because I've done mostly just like hard mountain races all year. And, as with hard mountain races, it's a lot of just intense hiking, right? Like going up very, very steep stuff with poles and then coming down very steep stuff. Whereas like I literally ran javelina. Like, there's a couple sections that are like very steep and rocky that like I just hiked it really quick, like maybe like a tenth of a mile here or there, just because it was faster to hike it than to run it. But in general, I probably ran like 99 of those miles. And I haven't done that all year because I've been doing all these really hard mountain races. So, that was kind of fun too on some level.
Yeah, it's super satisfying whenever you go and do something like that, and the contrast of what you have been doing, I can imagine it was satisfying. On
Yeah.
to one of the other questions. How do you keep going and pushing past the pain? I guess maybe the question there is, are you pushing through pain to just get the miles done each week? And
Well, I mean,
what is pain, I guess? Like you're not
yeah,
pushing through injury, but
are you sorry? Are you talking about for races? Or are you talking about like for like my 100-mile weeks? Because I
I,
mean, again, pain is like very subjective, right? I mean, I don't think that I'm in like constant pain. I mean, in a race, you get into like sort of a pain situation, but it's sort of different. It's more like a weird stiffness type of thing where your body just doesn't really respond sometimes. Um, for me, like a couple things, like I have little mantras that I always tell my kids, or is one is like dead people don't feel pain, and so in our society we run away from pain like it's like a bad emotion, just like we would like run away from, like sadness or things like that. But all these emotions and all these feelings are very valid and, should be embraced on some level. And so I don't think necessarily being scared or running away from pain is a good thing. I think like you got to kind of have to lean into it. So, I mean, there's that. And then there's also like when you get to that point, like wherever it is in a race or whatever, where you're experiencing this like sort of low and you're feeling, oh man, I can barely move my legs or like whatever. I like to remind myself that like this is the moment that like I worked really, really hard to get to. Like on a normal, if you're training for a 100-miler and say you're running a couple 20-milers or something to get ready for it, you don't ever get to that point, but you get to that point at mile 80 and 100, and that's the point that you've now trained all this time to get to. That's the thing that took so much energy and effort to get to. You had to run 80 miles to feel this feeling that you're feeling right now, and then people get like upset about it, and it's like you shouldn't be upset. You should be like happy. You're like, oh my god, I'm here. I'm in the thick of it. This is I'm going to look back at this moment and it's going to be the best memory, the most memorable memory. And it's going to be the time when you go, I felt that and I pushed through and I finished anyways. And I think it's the best. And these are the tricks and things I tell myself when I am deep in that like sufferfest or whatnot. Like, um, yeah, I take a negative and turn it into a positive.
yeah, I think that's such an important thing. Like it's kind of similar to one of the things that I like would say with friends. You can't buy this. Yes, you can buy the entry, but you can't buy
Yeah.
your way to My Lady. You have to get
Right.
there. You have to experience the journey. Like 80 doesn't come before 50.
Nope.
There's a spectrum of feeling the whole way through to that. I guess whenever they're mentioning pain in that question, like yes, our feet hurt in these things.
Yeah. Sure.
That's just part of
Yeah.
it. But we're
Yeah.
not talking about pushing through like some sort of like a torn calf or something. I don't like there's a level you hurt your back one year at Moab, for example. You
Yeah.
couldn't push
And
through that.
no, I mean, there's a level. Like my back swelled up. I couldn't throw my leg. If you can't throw your leg, it's hard to run, you know? I have gone through a torn hamstring though. I did push through that once. That was not, I did coconut with a torn hamstring. So that was, whew, that was not a fun couple days, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Do you ever have these thoughts about going into an aid station if you have an issue and you're like, I kind of need to get this tended to continue? You have this thought of, I don't want to see the medics in case they try and pull me.
No, because I'm a medic and I know what to say. So, you know, I mean, and most of
What do we
those
say,
people,
Andy? What are we meant to say?
yeah, well, I'm just saying, most of those people are like they're EMTs, so it's like I'm already higher medical authority, and I just know what I should not say. I don't normally have problems. Like mostly, it's like if I go to a medical tent, it's just like, hey, can you tape my feet or do something like that. I don't. Um, it's not. It's not like, hey, I'm like thinking weird thoughts or something. I'm never going to tell someone that, you know, or I'm altered. Yeah, I mean, I've had like hypothermia before, and I'm like, hey, I need 3 warm bottles. I start like giving out orders, you know, like I'm on scene of a medical aid, and you know, and I need a blanket, I need this, that, and then I'll take care of myself, and then you know, put myself back together. But or like when I had the heat stroke, I was like, I need 3 bags of ice, you know, and I started like packing myself with ice, you know, but if I know I need to be pulled, I will pull myself because, you know, as a paramedic, I know when it's a real emergency and when it's not a real emergency.
Cool. What did you learn about yourself this year at Moab?
Well, it's kind of weird because like when I was starting javelina, I still kind of feel like I'm out there, you know. It was uh it was just some really long nights and just some like really, really miserable conditions. And I just really had to sort of lock in and you're just moving so slow and um, yeah, it was so hard. I guess I just learned, I don't know. I just how to compartmentalize a little bit better and how to, just be super grateful that I can do these things even when the chips are really stacked against you and it really feels like I mean there was times where I felt like the course really just did not want me to succeed and I just kept grinding and you know one step after another and I got there but and then obviously I don't know if you saw the video of me like just bawling crying but like yeah
Yeah,
it was a you know really just amazing experience to feel like I had done it so
I was going
after
to
all
ask you
these
about that. Like that,
yeah
you
I
were
mean
you were super emotional. That was on like the bike path coming into Moab at the finish, right?
yeah I think I had like a mile to go um and I mean that's my runner's high I when I start to get a runner's high I just immediately start crying so I yeah it's like I my whole body gets flooded with all these hormones and then I just break down just like so happy but they're like happy tears but like grateful tears just on lots of levels not just like just that I grateful that I can do these things happy that my body can do them just the love from my crew that got me across the line all these things just hitting me all at once and then yeah that just comes out as a big sob fest so
Is there a particular thought that you can remember that triggered it? Like, I'll give you an example. I would have that emotional bit as well at the end of like a hard race. And sometimes you just think about, you know, your wife or there's some sort of trigger, you know, someone that's helped you along the way. And then it's like, oh, it's the floodgates open in a sense. Was
Right.
there a particular thought that triggered it this year?
Well, we're on the bike path and like we're about a mile out. Cody's running me in, and then Nick had parked the vehicle, at the finish, and then run out to catch us so we could all run in together. So it's like he ran up, we're all three together, and it's just like, see, I get emotional just thinking about it. And then it was like I just was going to shoot my normal, video, just like, we got a mile to go, like let's go, and then like tried to talk and just, fell apart. So. I think it was just the fact that we were all three running together almost at the finish that just set me off.
Yeah, that was a cool video. I said this to you in a chat. Like, I don't think anyone has ever shared one of your reels to me. Like, but people were sharing that one to me, like comments of things like Andy really, you know, Andy got it done. Andy was really emotional here. I guess maybe because they know that we know each other, or whatever. But like, no
Yeah,
one shared your reels before, and there was like a ton of people shared that to me, which just shows how much that emotion connected with people.
yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was like I said, the the community really got behind me. Like on getting across that finish line, it was when I finished, and then just like all the hundreds of probably thousands of TikToks people made about me, and just all this crazy. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like I was blown away that so many people were so invested in, following my adventure. Because when you're out there, I'm not intaking any social media. I log onto my phone, I like hit upload, and then I turn it back off. So I didn't know anything that was going on in the real world during that time period. So when I came out of that vacuum to see, how many people had been following along and doing all these things, it was pretty crazy. I was like, wow, this is really a big deal.
People were really invested in it. It was your third go back there. So many, like how many thousands of the followers have seen those failures, and
Yeah,
we
that's
all
true.
love a
Yeah.
story, and that like
Yeah.
you completed the story.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely I created a situation that people would want to follow along on for sure. I mean, it wasn't intentional. I didn't fail on purpose. It would have been a lot easier in my life if I had just succeeded that first year, But things happen.
Document it, and the story happens. Um,
Yeah.
what inspires you the most, day to day, running, whatever way you want to take it?
I for me, it's like my inspiration always just goes to like my dad, and I lost him a few years ago, and he's just always on my mind, and like he was my inspiration, and I just continue to try to make him proud. So that, and then being a good dad, is like I'm inspired to be a good dad and to show my kids, what it means to be a good human. And so I just really try to do that on a daily basis.
Just like seeing your Halloween pictures that you just put up a couple of days ago, the annual family pictures. I'm like, man, I remember when those kids were were this height too.
I know,
And now
it's
like
crazy.
your kids are like little adults.
I know my son's almost as big as I am. It's insane. He's like, yeah, I think he has wider shoulders than me. So it's crazy. It is, I think on Halloween I'll post, like I normally post every year, so that you can see the progression. And yeah, when you see my youngest daughter and she's like, like this tall, and she's like Wonder Woman, and she's got her hands on her hips, and now she's like, yeah, it's pretty amazing. So it's the one
And
little thing I love. That's what I love. I love Halloween pictures. So as long as they're in my house, we're doing the annual Halloween picture.
you guys do a good job at it, so keep them coming. What's the hardest race that you've ever done? Was it Moab? That was a question.
No, I mean, that was a hard one. I still always think UTMB is the hardest race. I mean, just that amount of vert in that short amount of time is pretty dang challenging. Um, I mean, it's hard because it's like when you the 200-mile distance and the 100-mile distance is like, I guess, there's like Cocodona is probably the hardest 200, and then like UTMB is the hardest 100. Um, but they're both pretty hard.
So like UTMB smashes your body because of all of the ups and downs.
Yeah.
What is it that makes Cocodona so difficult?
You have pretty extreme weather pattern shifts. You start in the desert, it's hot. That first 100K is very, very challenging. I don't know if you get like 16,000 feet of vert or something like that in the first 100K, but it's a lot. And there's a lot of sections that are just like really unrunnable. They're just so technical and rocky that with like, and not like technical rocky and like oh well, I can give it a go. It's like you're on a goat trail that's rocky, and if you trip, there's a 2,000-foot cliff to your right. So how much do you really want to risk going down this goat trail? Um, and then by the time it gets runnable, you're like 200 and something miles in, and it gets runnable as you climb up into like 7,000 feet, and then it starts getting cold. So now you've been hot, and then now you're getting cold, and you're at elevation, and there's just a lot of like factors like that that just make it. And then you end on like climbing some crazy 9,000-foot mountain. So I mean, it's kind of like it's just never ends with the challenges. And we've had really hot years. Obviously, this year was really muddy and rainy, and then it got hot. So it's just Arizona has very unique weather. So and people think Arizona, they think desert, but Cocodona is like mountain Arizona. The northern part of Arizona is mountains. And so you really are, climbing up into some, pine tree forests and whatnot. So, but I just think, I haven't done Bigfoot, I haven't done Tahoe, so I can't compare them to those. Those might be harder. I don't know, but when I think of like hard races, I think of things that are like unrunnable, because when things are unrunnable, then it slows you down. And when it slows you down, that makes things harder because you're just out there longer, and then that plays in. You get to the top of Mingus, you're at like mile 100, and you're like, all right, sweet, I got 17 miles downhill to Jerome. And everyone thinks in their head, oh, 17 miles downhill, that's like no big deal. But it's the hard 17 miles. Like it sucks your soul. It's so hard. And those are the times when races get hard, when you think you can make up time because it's downhill or whatever. And instead it just destroys your ankles and, all your stability muscles and whatnot.
Yeah, look, whenever you have to walk the downs, it sucks. You just
Yeah.
know it's going to be a long day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, um, but yeah, I love Coconut. It's so beautiful. It's so fun. It's kind of like, they're trying to make it like a little mini UTMB, where you go in and out of all these little cities and stuff. I like that aspect.
Yeah, that it does seem like a cool aspect, but it sells out so quick that like
Yeah.
you need to be on the ball and
This,
almost following the race to get your entry.
I know this guy, he's making all these movies about it, and he's been doing it for like the last 5 years, and like now it sells out too quick. So damn him.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of 200s, mate, please come to Europe. You need to run the Tour de Jean. The whole
I know.
time I was out there, I was like, Andy loves doing hard things. This is the
I know.
hardest feckin' thing ever. You need to do the Tour de Jean.
And all my friends, like all the people that are truly bad 200-mile guys, like all have done it. So it's like I need to do it just so I can be on their level. But I'm going to start with the spine race, and then once I get the spine race done, then I'll look at a tour for sure. I definitely need to do it.
It's 2 weeks after UTMB, but what I've found this year is that there's a whole level of people that are crazy stringing these massive things together. So there was a guy I had in the podcast a couple episodes ago, Brian Mullins, right?
Yeah.
And he would do things like crossing Switzerland. What is this, like 700K? Uh, he'd do the Swiss peaks, 700K. Uh, then he would go and do, PTL, then Swiss Peak 700, then Tour de Glacier, the 450.
Yeah. Right.
Like, it's like, are you just like checking these? I'm free between July and September. What's your
Yeah.
biggest distance? Sign me up. And
Well,
also the same summary did the Eiger 250 as well.
what I'm hoping is, I can retire at 50 and I'm 47 right now, almost 40 or getting closer to 48. So my hope is, I retire around 50 and then I have a lot more free time to, if I want to go to Europe for a month, do UTMB and then just hang out for 2 weeks and then do tour, I can do something like that. It's just so hard with, like, again, it always comes down to my PTO, and how much time I can bank and trade and do all these things. And then as I've promoted, now that I'm a battalion chief, I only have two guys I can trade with. So that makes it harder too, because we have to balance their vacation schedule and my vacation schedule. And, it's just, it's challenging. Work gets in the way. Why can't I just be a professional runner?
Yeah, soon, Andy.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I tell them all the time, I'm like, I don't know if my book sells 1 million copies, I might not be back. But I'm just kidding. I don't really think my book's going to sell 1 million copies. But
Let's get it to sell 1 million copies, and you can do Tour de Jean.
yeah, okay. I'll tell you what, that'll be my commitment on here. You can keep this video, and if my book sells 1 million copies, I'll do Tour de Jean. Flat out, no problem.
Before you're 50.
Before my 50, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
for
Um,
sure.
Question on Moab again. How did you handle like the sleep deprivation? Touching on like what are your strategies?
What I did this year, which worked really well, was I just pushed it to like 3 a.m. and then slept from like 3 a.m. till maybe 5:30, got up, got my stuff back on, did all the things, relubed, make sure my feet were okay, new socks, all the things that you would normally do, ate a little something. So probably like a 3 hour break. And then as I started to move, then that's when the sun would come up. And I think we all know what happens when the sun comes up during an ultra. All of a sudden you feel 100%, like you feel like, oh, your brain's like, oh, the sun's up. Okay, we're gonna go. And then I would just push myself 21 hours until 3 a.m. again, and then do it again. So the only difference was on the last night, I got to the van at 10 p.m., but it was after I did a really, really hard mountain section. So I was pretty tired, just because I don't remember how many thousands of feet of vert we had to go, but it was quite a bit. And it rained on us a lot. So when I got back to the van at 10, I took like an hour and a half nap, 30 minutes to get ready, and then we left by midnight to finish out the last 40 miles. That was the only difference. But yeah, so I mean, I think like probably 6.5 hours of total sleep over, a 98-hour race. But I felt, like I said, I didn't take any naps. I felt good. My pacers kept me engaged, and yeah, I think maybe I got the sleepies a couple times, but I just say to my pacer, hey, we got to start talking about something. I don't know what, but we got to start talking about something. And then, we'd start talking about something weird, and then I'd forget about it and I'd wake back up. So,
What about aid stations? I know like you would always share your gear and you put like the lube in the bag. So that's
yeah,
almost like an Andy Glaze hack. Like where did you, this is a question for me. Like who taught you to do that? I've never seen
I,
anyone do that before.
that's just something I thought of doing. I used to put it in a glove, like a glove, and I put the lube in the glove and then do it that way. And then after a while, I was like, why am I using a glove? I can just use a plastic bag. And then I do it with sunscreen. I put it in my sunscreen and I just go like this with my sunscreen. Um, it's so light, and so easy. Um, but Yeah, yeah. At aid stations, you want to know what's in my drop bags, or it was just like,
No, the question was like how long do you spend in each station,
oh,
and elaborating then on like, do you have the checklist on what you're gonna do?
sometimes I do checklists. At Moab, I wouldn't say I spent too long at aid stations. If it had, if my crew wasn't there, what I normally like to do is I come in, I refill my water. Um, I depending on how long it's been, like at Moab, you're out there for quite a long time. I'll probably have like a couple cups of like some really I like ice cold Coke just to kind of wake me back up. And then whatever I always would say, what kind of hot vegan food do you have? And whatever they had, I would it was like burgers or soup or whatever. I would eat a little of that. Um, and then restock. So I did a different strategy this year where I normally have drop bags and then I have my own food, but they were sponsored by that Never Second, which I don't know if you've tried. I tried it and it's pretty good. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use their stuff the whole time. And so I didn't have to carry any of my own food and I would just restock at the aid stations and it worked so good. Um, and I love their stuff. I mean, I just ran with their stuff at Javelina and I think that was part of the reason why it's such a good race is just I took so many carbs in and so many calories in, but it was so easy to do so that I was really able to like keep going the whole time. Um, so yeah, just sort of get myself back together. If I had a drop bag, then it's slightly different because I have sparkling water. I drink that. I eat my mom's scone that she makes me. Probably re-lube, re-sunscreen if I need it. I brush my teeth at I have those little like little toothbrushes that you can like just I like to eat everything and then I brush my teeth and then I leave and it just makes your mouth feel like clean after eating all those gels and all that stuff and to clean your teeth like at an aid station is quite nice. So um but yeah, not too long, maybe 10, 15 minutes, at a time.
So you're actually brushing your teeth at multiple aid stations. A lot of people would maybe
Yeah.
just do it like once a day,
No, because they're like those little like throwaway toothbrushes. Have you ever seen those things?
like
So
the
it has
airplane
like the
things.
I don't know. It's like Colgate makes them or something. They have like a little bit of toothpaste in it, and you just brush your teeth, and then so
Right.
I just put one of those in a plastic bag, and so every drop bag, I can just grab it, and then when I'm leaving the aid station, I can just like brush my teeth real quick. It just gets all the crap, all that sugary stuff all off your tongue and your teeth and everything. I don't know. Maybe
Uh,
that's too neurotic.
Dave Stinchfield, 200-mile runner, you might know him, up in Oregon. He's a dentist, and he's always preaching to me about you should brush your teeth during the 200s. So he'd
Right.
be happy to
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, it works out.
Um, we talked about it briefly in August, but you've already mentioned it earlier on about the spine. What summer, or not summer, what races have you already got on the docket for next year?
Uh, I mean, obviously Cocodona. Um, I I haven't looked on my the thing is I haven't looked on my schedule for work yet, and it's going to be hard for me to take off time for certain races. But ideally, I love to start the season with cold water if I can do it, just because it's like January. It's close to my, it's like 4 hours away, and it's just a fun sort of race to kick things off. I'm in on Rocky Raccoon because which is the one in Texas. It's another just sort of flat 100 that's just kind of fun to run. I love the Texas racing community, so it's kind of cool to go out there. Um, I'm considering doing Arizona Monster again and trying to do it a little bit better than I did last time because last time was such a I mean, I did it solo, but it was a disaster. I not on the races part, but on my personal part, I just like really struggled. So we'll see if I can do that a little better. I'm not sure. And then obviously Spine, I probably will do Crazy Mountain again because I love it so much. The one in Montana. Um, I don't know. I'm getting sucked into all these races that I end up doing every year. Um, Probably Leadville again. I get, and then
Oh man, come on, life's too short to keep. I
I know.
find if you do the
Well,
same thing every year, the years start to blur. I need
I
difference.
it's true. I have mixed things up. The problem is just like not really a problem. I love going to the races where all like the biggest races because that's when I can like meet the most amount of my fans and have the biggest impact. And so it's like these bigger races are just like so great for me because I have the ability to like meet all the people that like are, that like follow me and stuff and like interact with them. Whereas like, yeah, you interact online, someone sends you a DM or something like that, but it's really great to, at Leadville this year, this girl came up to me and she's like, I lost like 200 pounds and I'm running Leadville. And I started running because I saw one of your videos. I mean, it's like, yeah, somebody can send you a DM like that, but it's a whole other thing to like actually meet that person, and like see the impact you have. Uh, and so I like the bigger races because you actually meet people and you get them, you know what I mean? Um, so I think again, things will change um, once I retire because then the other problem I always have is like there's a bunch of races sort of in the summer that I'd love to do, but I can't really take off that time because it's like the bulk of fire season and it's, people are always out on fires and there's all this stuff going on. And so I kind of have to not do much for a little bit of time. So, um, yeah.
Mate, your 50th, or it'll be your 51st year, will be one hell of a, race calendar.
I know it will be. I'll be like, what's is it Walter that went out and did like, didn't he do like 50 hundreds in a year or something like that? He had like some crazy count. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want
Yeah.
to say his last name because I'm going to mess it up. It's like Handlauser or something like that, Walter. And he did this crazy like spreadsheet and he's like, I'm going to do 50 milers in 1 year. And like, he would literally be like, in Hawaii, and then the next one would be in like New York, and then like in Europe, and then I was like, man, this dude is like living the dream. You'd see him at a race, and he'd just be like, it was like he just never stopped running 100 milers the whole year. Like that might be me.
It'll be the triple crown. It'll be we'll top and tail it with other 200 plus milers. It'll be the Tour de Gent, UTMB.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy that he did like every 200 um, this year. Like he did like Mammoth right into Moab. He just did Javelina with me. You know what I'm talking about? His name's Adam.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Sorry, like my phone rang, even though I have it on Do Not Disturb, and then it like cut out my headset. So
There was another question come through, but we've tackled that one. Any plans to race in Brazil or South America? Yeah, of course you do.
yeah, I mean,
Plans to race everywhere.
I'd love to do the Brazil 135. I have a bunch of friends that have done that. I know for a while they were like kind of planning that Costa Rica 200. That looked kind of interesting as well.
That's right.
Um,
That just
wh-
disappeared.
yeah, I think they just had like some logistical problems. I've talked to those people a bunch, but I've spent a lot of time in Costa Rica. It would be fun. You're running from one coast to the other. I think it would be pretty interesting. Um, but yeah, I have plans. I want to go race a bunch in China again. I want to race in Asia a lot, some more. So um, it's just Australia. I mean, I want to race out South Africa. I want to go everywhere, but I just it's terrible to say, but like a lot of my racing is like what's the closest thing I can get to and still race, whereas I don't have to take too much time off, you know? So,
See, when you do like a Moab 240, and bearing in mind your 100-mile week streak, if a race starts in one week and ends in another, how do you work on the miles? Do you think, okay, I've 40 miles of that was into the next week, or like how do you manage that? Or how do you
well, so
plan
this
that?
this week I had some catastrophic, or Moab this year I had catastrophic watch issues, and so all I did was I stopped my watch because it was already so messed up. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I stopped my watch on Sunday at midnight, saved it, and then I started a new one on Monday at 12:01. And so that way it was like super clean, like how many miles. But normally what I do is I make a mental note Sunday night, like where I'm at, like, okay, I'm at mile X. And I mentally, mark that down. And so that I know how many miles I ran into the next week. So
Okay.
I mean, again, because I make my own rules, like that's the easiest way. I know I'm still going to run more than 100 miles the next week. I think, even with Moab and having elephantitis in my feet and everything, I still ran like 116 miles that week. But, you know, I normally just mentally take a like a note on how many miles I ran up until midnight on Sunday.
Cool. All right, we are coming to the close of the show, but we'll get a couple more questions in here before. I mean, we're, I don't know, like, are we a quarter of the way through the questions? Probably not, but I've tried my best to cover a lot of the topics. Something I
Right.
think would be interesting to touch on is, like, I'm gonna call it like the bracket of haters or naysayers, from
Yeah.
the your feet are ugly to what about your knees to like, all of these types of things. Like one of the questions come in like, why did people like how are your feet so ugly? But this kind of resonated with me because I actually think your feet are really ugly too.
Yeah, they are ugly. They are the ugliest feet for sure.
Were they always did your feet always look like this, or are your feet a product of 100 mile week streak?
I mean, I've always had really wide feet, and I've always had those like sort of weird shaped, short, fat toes, like giant big toe, and then like tiny little toenail. Like my toenails have always been these like tiny little toenails and stuff. It's funny because I have pictures of my feet like before I started doing ultras. Like I would take a picture and whatnot, and they've always like been just torn up. I didn't used to take care of them when I ran. Like I didn't used to tape them or lube them or do anything, so they would get really messed up. Now, even though everyone's like, "Oh, they look, horrible," it's like, well, I mean, running 100 miles is hard on the feet, no matter what you do. No matter what products, what socks, what shoes you use, like it doesn't matter. It's going to be hard on your feet. So it's just trying to mitigate it as best as you can so it doesn't get into a situation where it's out of control. Um, but yeah, I think I've always had pretty messed up feet. Yeah. Yeah. Ugly feet.
One thing that Ricky and I would always say on the show is that, like, I think people put too much emphasis on the shoes and the gear. And we like keep saying, look, it's 99 point something percent the person. Like the shoe
Yeah.
might be make it more comfortable. It's the shoe doesn't make the finish. The shoe doesn't make the time. The person did it. So
Yeah.
like the stuff that you're using, the stuff that you've dialed in through years, but it's you that's doing it. Like
Sure.
whether
Yeah.
the feet get messed up or not, like your feet are making it to the finish line.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to do triathlons, I used to do them with like a $500 bike, and I would just be passing people on these $12,000 bikes. And I would always just say, like, you have the nice bike, but I have the nice engine, you know? So we'll see who wins.
What do you say to people whenever they talk about like your knees are gonna be blown out and
I mean, I think it's funny. I mean, nobody says anything like that to you in real life. It's all behind the keyboard. Um, there's a lot of just really insecure people out there that just think they just get on the internet and think, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna write all this stuff. Every time I see a video that makes me upset in any way, I'm gonna let them instead of just swiping, I'm gonna let that person know. And um, I think there's a lot of people out there that just need to touch grass a little bit more and just relax and not take things so seriously and not like just because you think you don't need to give everybody your opinion, honestly, a lot of times, especially if you're not an expert in the situation. So a lot of people want to tell me what to do with my feet, and when I'm the one living the experience, and I don't know too many people out there that are running 10 ultras a year and running 100-mile weeks and doing all these things and then giving me advice on my feet. The people that I know that do 10 ultras a year and run like crazy mileage, like we talk back and forth about techniques and stuff. And like we share tips and things like that amongst each other. We're definitely not hating on each other and like talking shit. So the people that do, they respect what you're doing and they enjoy knowing what works for you because then it might help them and vice versa.
As my mother always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I'll back that up with like, if you can't say it to somebody's face, you shouldn't be saying it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But you go to these races, like I said, and it's like nobody's mean to me. Nobody's rude to me. Everybody is so nice. And like, I try to match everybody's energy, so just pushing that positivity. But occasionally, you gotta laugh at the haters, it's like, can't take them too seriously. If there's any impact in this world that I want, it's that I want people to laugh at people when they say running is bad for your knees. Like that. If I can like stick a dagger in that like old wives' tale, that will be my legacy.
Well, I think that is the perfect way to end.
Okay.
It's the perfect one. We could go through these questions all day, but respectful of your time, and it's always fun to chat. Uh, you can catch up on the podcast and all the various players, not just on Instagram, and also like the podcast with Ben, who was second at Moab, is coming up in a few days. If you have any questions about this, stick it in the comments. There'll be a collab reel going up with you too as well. I'm sure people would love
Great.
to ask you questions on that. You can also jump into the Trail Talk WhatsApp group and talk shit because that's what everyone does in there. But it's
Right.
respectful talking shit. So,
Uh,
um, yeah, Ricky is back next week. So thanks, Andy, for coming in to as the amazing super sub and guest of honor. Ricky's racing Mallorca by UTMB this coming weekend, and we'll chat to him next week live from the event. But yeah, anything left to say, Andy?
Smile, you're doing it wrong.
Perfect. Peace.
See ya.
See you soon.
Peace. See ya.